We were just going into the recession, 2008.
In all honesty, we were just scrambling to try to keep our head above water.
With the bottom dropping out of the housing market and real estate values tanking, so all of a sudden the values that you depended upon for the tax rate that you had to fund the organization were no longer there.
So that was the opportunity. I remember when I interviewed with the board, one of the things they told me was that they were not pleased with Crow Wing County's reputation for customer service. I would put it in rather simple terms. What they wanted was better service, and they wanted it at lower cost.
Robert first came on the landscape with insights. I thought, well, you know, that's an important piece, is teaching our people how to interact and how to relate to one another. So we had 62 people who in some way, shape, or form led others.
Being in that room with 60 other people throughout the county, kind of hearing that they're struggling with some of the same things we are, or you know, that we didn't quite understand what they did, and they didn't understand what we did.
This sergeant I need to talk to and to be more effective it this way, because this is the way they're filtering it versus another person. And so it's really helped me be able to interact better with the people I need to talk to, knowing what I know about their personality and how it works.
When we brought it down to the next level and made it open to anybody who wanted to attend, I think it really helps develop that team perspective and the perspective of it not just being, I work for this department, but I work for the entire organization.
We're all working for the same customer.
Leadership at the Helm really brought a different view of leading an organization. It was a view that I think inherently everyone knew and understood, but it had never been presented in a way that you could break it down into actionable pieces and say, where are we now? What do we need to do? How can we improve? And how do we know when we're there? That was kind of the magic or the secret sauce that allowed us to plan our work differently, that allowed us to measure things differently, to look at work differently in the organization.
Leadership at the Helm is a holistic, balanced approach to organizational effectiveness. When you look at the right-hand side of the Helm, it's all about maximizing human potential, which drives organizational performance on the left side of the Helm. Collectively, it allows organizations to execute on their strategy and achieve the desired results they're looking for. That's leadership at the Helm.
We had to define for our employees what excellence looked like in their job with the skills we're asking them to apply, in the environment we're asking them to apply them.
We really needed to spend some time as a group of leaders thinking through what is it that we want to achieve in this organization. And Robert helped us to distill that down to service, value, and results. That drove everything. It drove our vision, mission, values. It drove the development of our performance plans. It drove the development of our compensation systems. It really has been the foundation that served as a catalyst for many of the pieces that we put in place to achieve the organizational success that we're enjoying today. What we learned is the thing that we valued most was results. And as a result of that, we thought, well, you know, maybe we're a little out of balance here. Maybe we need to look for a little bit better balance in the kinds of things we value.
So yes, you do have financial key measures of performance, but you also need to have customer measures of performance. You need to have internal processes measures of performance, and you need to have learning and growth measures of performance. And it gives you that well-rounded, balanced scorecard. And so it's not about one strategy, it's about all of them woven together. And if you can operate them all simultaneously well, you're going to produce a marvelous thing.
When you look at the components of leadership at the Helm, it all starts with the true north. That's the mission, the vision, and the values of your organization. Then your strategies align to that mission. Leadership then becomes the ambassadors of culture, which then drives team effectiveness and overall employee engagement. Employee engagement is the leading indicator for the balanced scorecard. Highly engaged employees drive performance around the processes and the services they provide their customers and the community that they serve. Overall, that provides you the results that you're looking for to drive, again, the overall mission, vision, and values of your organization.
Some of the components that I really value that Robert brought to the table on that was it all begins with quality balanced leadership. From there, you look at engaging your team members.
We ask questions of, what are you doing on a regular basis that maybe we can improve those processes? We've started our continuous improvement process with lean events, and we involve not just the decision makers and the department heads, but actually the people who are actually doing the work. And I think what it did was a couple of areas. It helped their new supervisor understand a little bit more about the team that they were going to be getting. How do these different dynamics play out? What can I expect to see maybe from this person, and who's going to work well together in certain areas? I think it also helped the individual employees because they looked beyond what was right in front of their face with how the change was going to impact them to see what opportunities are going to be available for me to be able to work with this new team that we have coming on board.
You know, coming in new, you kind of think, well, this is my time to take a back seat. You know, I'm just going to watch and observe how things are done instead of offer what I may know or offer suggestions. But my experience here has been the exact opposite. And my first project was quite the undertaking. I worked on the tax forfeit land sale, and it's kind of different than other Six Sigma projects in that we were really focused on marketing efforts and expanding the process instead of just breaking it down into smaller, more manageable chunks. And being able to kind of redesign something and think out of the box right away was just such like a confidence booster as a leader and just made me feel more at home here with Crow Wing County.
So I think it has definitely, from a personal perspective, made our employees more dynamic team members and also made them better customer service agents as well.
I see it, but when I know we're doing it is when I have other jails wanting to come in and shadow our sergeants, come into our facility, see how we do things, because we get the compliment of how professional our staff is.
Our mission is serve well, deliver value, drive results, and I believe that that truly has reinforced the importance of developing innovative practices because that innovation is helping us improve the results that we're delivering.
So for instance, the recorder was responsible for only recording a document. But in order to record a document, you also had to pay state deed tax, which had to be collected by the auditor. And you had to pay your current taxes, which had to be collected by the treasurer. So for someone to record a simple document, they had to make 3 stops at 3 separate counters in order to complete that transaction. When we started looking at it from the customer's perspective versus from our own internal perspective, it made a whole lot more sense to say, why wouldn't we have one location where this customer can come to record their document, and we'll go to the customer and handle all of those touch points that need to occur.
Another big savings is we've put, it's called Precise on all of our snowplow trucks. That keeps track of the amount of material we put out on the road during the winter months. Before, where it was pull a lever and the material would come out, now it's push a button and it's measured and calculated out per road mile. And that's been the biggest savings that we've seen. We're using much less salt and sand in the winter months by having that data at our fingertips.
The public is expecting us to deliver public safety. They're expecting us to deliver a safe and effective transportation infrastructure. They're expecting us to deliver that we will protect those who are most vulnerable in our society. They are expecting us to maintain our system of governance. They are expecting us to take care of the environment. That's county government, those 5 things. And so how will we know when we have achieved it? And so we built those key performance indicators building block by building block for every single position here.
Through that process, we came up with results, relationships, which included customer service and team relations, and work processes, which really is driving innovation in our organization. Lean, Six Sigma, performance recognition for innovation. So that was an amazing session, and The value add that I hadn't anticipated is getting people across the organization to work together.
If excellence is defined as compared to other county governments in Minnesota, we've achieved excellence. But if excellence is defined as a more objective, measurable statement of how far have we advanced the needles in our respective organizational priorities, we still got lots of opportunity.
You think you're going to be around forever, and then you realize, well, I can retire in about 4 years, and when I leave, I want them to be able to continue what we've already started and make it better.
If one or two people leave and you have a reversion to something other than what you had when the leader was there, then you did not experience cultural transformation. You experienced a flash in the pan.
It's a process, and it's a building process where it begins and you continue to feed it and to reinforce those key messages and to build systems and processes around that. And it takes leadership at all levels. It can't just be a consultant coming in and saying, this is what it looks like. It really takes the commitment, the engagement, the reinforcement of that leadership to nurture, recognize, reward, celebrate, and sustain that change. And that's where we are. And now, it's the employees that are driving it. And we got to be sure that we have the systems in place that really reward that behavior that we want to see.
Now, I'll tell you, the 95.8% in government service is pretty doggone good, and I'll bet you there's a lot of our private sector counterparts who would wish that they could have such a good score. At the same time, we have reduced the county's property tax levy to Crow Wing County citizens for 6, and soon to be 7, straight years in a row. That is unprecedented in Minnesota history.
For the longest time, it was more, wouldn't people love to work for Crow Wing County because wouldn't you want to live here too? And it's now gone beyond that. It's not just that this is a beautiful place to live, but this is really a fabulous place to work. We are being innovative, we're being energized and empowered to find new ideas and new ways that we can deliver services and make sure that we are watching the bottom line, because one of our goals is to make sure we're being great stewards of the county's dollars and make sure our resources are being expended correctly.
If you think there's not a good return on these investments in managing a culture of innovation, managing a culture of high performance, using tools like the balanced scorecard, employee engagement surveys, customer satisfaction surveys, developing a highly credible performance management system. It's not one of those things. It's all of those things. If you want to create a high-performing organization, you better have more than one tool in your toolbox, because if the only thing you got is a hammer, everything starts looking like a nail. And so we use Lean and Six Sigma, and that's the anchor for our culture of continuous improvement.
It is now just part of the culture to be looking at process improvement, and no one feels threatened by it. Because I think everyone understands that we develop better outcomes, which improves the customer experience, which typically increases staff capacity to manage work differently. So it's a win-win for everyone.